Okay, now we're really going to open the meeting at 9:02. Good morning, everyone. So glad you're here. Nice to see everybody here in the room and online. So I think this morning there's no other business aside from looking at beginning the budget process. So
There isn't.
there is not.
Oh, well, then I'm going to relax.
Yeah, they're
I only have to worry
unfortunately,
about
we
the budget.
didn't, yeah.
Okay,
There's an issue that we'll have to take up probably in special meeting.
so
But didn't get it managed for this morning.
I want to, so we have, oh, wait. Okay, Leslie's asking who's in the room. So let's take a moment to everybody introduce yourself. We'll start with Rusty on the screen.
Rusty Marine, Selectman.
Veranda,
I'm Veranda on the select board.
Lynn. Lynn, you're muted.
Lynn Pancake on the Financial Advisory Committee.
Leslie,
Leslie Mallowan, Town Auditor.
Tammy,
Tammy Sargent, Creamery Road.
and at the table we have, I don't know if anybody can see everybody.
You won't be able to, you'll be
Richard
fussing all
can lean
morning
in.
long if you do that.
Richard.
Richard Wazansky, Select Board.
Gordon Little, I'm on the Financial Advisory Committee.
Tim Harris, also on the Financial Advisory Committee.
Michael Becker, Guilford Select Board.
And Zon Eastis on the Select Board. And Sheila is here
Sheila,
too.
yeah, in the corner. So what do I want to do here? I'm going to share my screen in a minute because I think we'll launch right into the budget. However, if Leslie and Tammy want to stay on for a moment afterwards, and anybody else who's interested, we have been working on a huge project, much bigger than anybody ever anticipated, to understand the source and use of capital funds, which is actually relevant to this meeting as well as everything else. And so I just wanted to give a little background. I think I'm getting my head wrapped around the situation. We have,
Thank you.
and I have to, first of all, I just want to say thanks, a big thanks to Pete Hetzel, Katie Buckley, and Penny Munsey from Nemrick for helping out over the last months on this thing. But just what I've done now is sort things out into a capital fund that was created by the town in 2007, a capitalization policy that was created by the town in 2015, which talks about what can and cannot be capitalized. And so what can and cannot be expensed from a capital budget. The capital program and budget policy, which establishes a capital improvement plan, also created in 2015. And it focuses on the maintenance and of buildings and property equipment and improvements and also acquisition. And there are a few requirements to that policy that need to be attended to. There was then a capital needs assessment, which in the room, Richard and Gabby worked on that after the assessment was completed to create a program, a capital improvement program, a multi-year, a 5-year rolling program. Probably I should.
That's all right. That's all right.
Okay, then there are assumptions on these capital plans. There is no one capital fund. There are 15 sources of funding for capital grants. So you can't say, we built the town office, we renovated the town office, and we withdrew $350,000 from the capital fund. In fact, the expenses can be expensed to any number of funds. So there is no direct equation between capital improvement plan expenditures and a capital fund. The use of these 15 funds cover 7 town assets and 3 other categories: the Green River Covered Bridge, the Algiers Waterline Fund, and unplanned capital expenditures. Of particular interest to a few people in town is how much money has been spent on the Guilford Free Library expansion, addition, studies, etc. This is a pile of papers which I have determined with everybody's able help that it's actually $0 has been spent on the library expansion out of any capital funds. Zero. We spent $1,200 on a floor repair in 2019, and we spent $2,790 in 2019 on a feasibility study, which was then covered by some grants. There are grant revenues that were covering the cost of the feasibility study and the architectural fees. And I have to do a little more calculations on how those things balanced out. I would say that this represents about 15 hours of research just on the background and on the library. And this is the town office. The town office was a simple 2 or 3 line thing, but getting where the source and use of funds works into like a 25-page research out of NEMRIC. This is highway equipment. Hundreds of pages. So I just wanted people to get a sense of what we're doing in addition to dog complaints.
Right, so this is in all of this, if I understand.
And
you
I'm
correctly,
not done with those.
Yeah.
That's the raw
This
data
is where you stand right
Yeah.
now. But this is in response to
requests.
information or freedom of, public record
Okay.
requests.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're still
Specifically
working
about the highway budget.
No.
about the library.
Oh.
And we're still working on
Yeah.
all of this, but we now apparently understand that we have so far spent no money from any of the capital funds
Yeah.
on the library. Is that a fair
So I
statement?
think that is true, fair. Okay, so I have only 5 copies of the budget here, which we can pass out. I'm going
happy
to
share with you.
share my screen now, if I can figure out how to do this. No. Share screen? All right, John, you know this better than I.
Yeah.
I need to get,
Sure, you want to share screen. You want to share the document itself. That's this document. And when you press share, oops, no, you opened it. Let's go back. Here, close. Oop, no,
your screen sharing.
come up here to Zoom. Oh, you're a screen share.
Yeah.
I don't, but nobody can, they're seeing the wrong thing. Here, go on and Zoom there. Click on it. Double click, just click on that. Just look in, and there you go. Oh, that's the wrong place. It's then here. And you'll close the call. Stop share.
Sorry, everybody, I told you this was going to be a,
Screen
Patient.
share. Just wait a moment before you click on the thing. Here's the document. Click it, now press share. There.
all right, everybody see this? Thank you, Zon.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I can drive too.
Yeah. Goes off the road.
Did.
Pull this, take that graph.
This is
pull it back over
my-
here. Pull that up to the top. There you go.
Okay. So let me just talk you through can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Anybody want another general
I see
budget?
it fine.
So normally, Peter walks us through all of this. Let me just say that. But, so what we have here are in column A, can everybody see or do I need to make it, I'm gonna make it a little bigger because I can't hardly see this stuff.
Go to one.
So in the left A column, we have revenue and then below that expenditures. You'll see revenue says 003,200 taxes, and there are in that category of taxes 7 types of tax revenues. So each tax revenue has its own specific account code, 003-2000, 0000, down to 003-2033. Okay? We go through and we look at the fiscal year 22 budget. What did we budget in fiscal year 22 and what did we actually spend in fiscal year 22? And we just closed out fiscal year 22 in June 30th, and we've received the audited finances a few weeks ago. This is what was budgeted in fiscal year 23, which was done a year ago now, to determine how much money is being spent on town business or income and expenses is covered in town business for fiscal year 23, which runs from July 22 to June 30th, 23. And how much we spent year to date. We are just a tad over 25% of the year. And then the next is what percentage of that is budgeted to date, and the fiscal year 24 proposed. And then the delta, what's the difference between the proposed fiscal year 24 and the fiscal year 23, and then notes. Okay. We, in these budget sessions, do not talk about revenues yet, because we have no way of estimating. Sorry, why is this not? Oh, this is the other. Sorry. We have no way of estimating what we are going to get. Well, we do for Alfred, AFD is Algiers Fire District. We will maybe or maybe not get money from them this year. State, but anyway, we leave the revenues out and we start working on the expenses because we kind of work backwards into revenues. But if you look at this document, and everybody has access to this document online, and you can see that it will change from time to time as more data comes in. You will also see that the percentages change, that we will be making some, I'm going to go back up to town funds. So for fiscal year, we never can figure out what's the planning commission. We have some reserve fund. We have the conservation commission reserve fund. We don't budget for those. We wait to see what's left at the end of the year. So now I know what's left from fiscal year 22, and that they can then call on that for fiscal year 23 use expenses. Let's see something else here. I will say that we have we put in floodplain administration fees some years ago in anticipation that we might have a floodplain activity, but that's not working, so we don't have that. Here's the first line, sorry. Interest earned is the first line that I think we can have some input on. Annually, Peter and
Second page.
Penny, this is line,
Second page.
it's under 003-2990, sorry, 003-293, interest earned, line 61 on the spreadsheet. I don't know.
No, we don't have those.
Okay.
numbers, so don't.
Okay. So annually, Peter and Penny estimate that we might earn $15,000 in interest. And if you'll see in 2022, we earned $3,500 in interest, and we budgeted $2,500 last year. And so far this year, we've had $23,040.
No, 200.
234. Blah, sorry. Okay, everybody. This is Sheila with a cold.
We're doing great.
So
We're doing
be
great.
watching.
We're doing great.
Okay, so I was going to, Mudgett, who is our auditor, recommended that we just downwards as we annually over budget this revenue source. And so I would welcome a recommendation for.
In the proposed 24.
Yeah, interest earns, and you might want to consider something like
Actually,
2,000, because we've got a lot of money in the ARPA fund now that's collecting interest.
Right.
But I assume it's collecting interest, you know.
I'd base it more toward the actual fiscal year 22, which was about 3,500, but maybe $4,000.
Yeah.
I don't think that's overstating what your concerns would be.
I thought 4,000 would be
4,000?
realistic as well.
And we can adjust this later.
Right. You can
Yeah.
change
If we go back.
So now I'm gonna put this, oops. That's now in the budget, proposed for a proposed figure. Okay, now we get into.
Why is that duplicated?
Where,
The interest earned.
It's the total line, I think.
so the first
right,
line,
for that.
Richard, is the headline, the next line
Oh,
is
right,
the
right,
actual
okay, yes.
account line.
It doesn't have a lot.
Okay.
No.
It only has one line.
So we have succeeded in putting one number into the budget.
Good.
For proposed. So now we go to select board stipends, which are the same every year. So Peter entered 6,300. It could be that this is in red because perhaps select board members are being asked to work more than ever. Maybe the select board wants to consider, and I'm just putting this out there, raising their compensation from $1,200 for a member and $1,500 a year for the chair to something else.
Yeah, I went
I
to
was
bed.
certainly, Sheila, this is Miranda. I am certainly, I don't know how the chair feels about it, but I do, and I don't know whether we can base our budget on this past year. But I certainly think the chair needs to have a greater stipend.
I'm gonna say one thing that I think bears on this. Everybody knows that the cost of living assessment this for January is 8.7%. And I say that because we're gonna get into a conversation about salaries. I also say that I think it was about 2019 that I figured I was earning about 10 cents an hour as chair. And so I don't know if 20 cents an hour makes any difference.
I went to bed last night thinking that we should propose $42,000 for each select board member for the year.
Because we're going through full-time jobs these days.
Yeah. So of course, that's entirely, huh?
That was a dream.
That was part of the, as I was going into a dream state. Yes, exactly. No, I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. I think we could, we don't need, I don't think we need to, I mean, the truth is this is a volunteer job.
Exactly.
It's entirely volunteer. There's no sense in attempting to make it seem realistic or in any way represent what's going on in the community, is my view, because that could change in a moment's notice. And so it strikes me that if we were going to adjust the stipends for the select board members, we should just do so in a very cautionary, conservative, if we're going to adjust them at all, in a very conservative way and not be reactive to what's happening right now. That would be my recommendation.
I would just say, being a former select board member, I agree that it is a voluntary position. And Zahn, when you're thinking, there's no way, you know, your 42 is probably close going to bed last night in terms of what you do in terms of time and everything. One thing we might do is look at other towns and see what the community in similar size, you know, as a baseline for the volunteers that do this. But as long, and the public certainly needs to understand, this group of individuals on our select board gives their time and energy, you know, far beyond any stipend that accommodates.
Yeah.
So maybe the select board could establish a comparables committee to look at what the
Yeah.
comparables are,
I think that would be,
to take it up.
yeah.
Sheila's.
That's good. All right,
Are you taking notes there?
I'll take a few. Yeah, I
Is
will
that
take a few.
okay? Just like, I just said, look at other towns, but
Yeah,
I'm here.
there might be a report at VLCT and then they
Yes.
might be able to provide that. And I know that Brattleboro just raised there, but we're not Brattleboro at all. But Brattleboro is apparently the highest in the state right now.
Significantly.
Why does it keep doing that? Okay. Thank you. Town administrator. So the salary was 60,000 and then it went up to 62. This year we've spent 22% of that budget. This is a wages position, not a salary position. The town administrator currently has no standing as he's a non-exempt. He's a non-exempt employee. He earns wages, not a salary, because he doesn't supervise any people and doesn't have any decision-making authority. He can, make recommendations, but he can't really make decisions. So this year, and my salary, which is again hourly, is 75% of what Peter was being paid. And so it's hard to know what to put in here. But I would suggest that you would go for like, I don't know, what's 65,000 divided by
I was just gonna
62,
see.
by 63.
If we went with COLA, it would be an increase of about 5,500.
I don't, okay, so here's, let me start that discussion. COLA is like the bear in the room. So generally, elephant?
Yeah.
Generally, in the last X years of select board experience, finance committee experience, salaries, wages are increased by, not on a merit basis, but on a COLA basis. We don't do merit increases.
Correct.
The wages, the lowest point of an increase was 2%, and that was when things were falling apart in 2017, I think, in the finance crisis, I think. And then the highest increase, which made up for that 2% increase in a prior year, was 5%. But generally, over the years, the increase has been 3%. I think 3% is not reasonable this year, but I think we need to think, do you want to go 5? Do you want to go 6? I'm going to suggest that it would be not a popular decision to go the full 8.7%.
What's COLA in normal times?
It's around 3, isn't it? Or
I
2?
don't, it's jumped, I don't,
Yeah, it's usually in the 3 to 4 range. So this is really,
So when the select board just passed the salary increase, that was for 23, right? Because it seems like just
people in
yesterday.
July 1st, the salary increase doesn't kick in when we make this decision. It kicks in July 1st, that this
right.
is for the fiscal year 24.
Right,
Yeah,
but it just seems like we did a salary increase.
and that was
like
last year.
3%. Sorry, Rusty, what?
I just said that was last year. What was the percentage of last year?
I think it was 3.
No, it's
I
5.
think it was more than that. I think it was 5.
It was 5 last year. Yeah.
Well-
This is Veranda. In reality, we're going to be losing Sheila and looking for a new town administrator, whatever the job description is. And I'm not sure what impact that will have on attracting and retaining somebody. We have as a precedent the highway department and what Danny told us about the requirements for hiring somebody new on the road crew. So I just wanted to throw that into the thinking.
So what I think what you're suggesting, Miranda, is that this particular salary line might not be considered a salary increase, but a placeholder for a salary going forward.
That's what I'm saying. Thank you for stating it so succinctly.
I'd also just remind folks that we are in a public meeting as we speak. And so we do need to be careful about speaking about individuals or individual positions as if we were in executive session.
Rusty here. I think another 5% raise at 10% over 2 years would be pretty darn good.
I agree.
Yeah, as a placeholder, it's kind of where my brain's going right now too.
So
And we also should look at other town administrators too, because we're going to be, if we are going to be in the market for looking around for what other people get.
So I'm
Tim,
gonna,
did you want to add anything?
Yeah, what were you thinking?
Well, I was just reflecting that the US government generally follows the COLA with the raises that they do in their salary scales. And, you know, that involves millions of people. So I don't think it's untoward to use that figure because it is used so widely in determining salary increases.
I will add too, that last year we looked at this very question, COLA, and it adjusts, and it adjusted pretty dramatically over the course of the
tremendously,
time that we
yeah.
were doing the budget. So it's 8.7 currently, according to research. By the time we do the budget, it could be 10.2 or it could be 5. And so we need to whatever, if we go with that idea, which I like, actually, I think that we would, we need to just watch how things go along during the next few months.
I'm sorry, everybody, I do not know what's going on here, so.
Fair enough. Yeah.
You've gotten yourself, let's see, there you go. Yeah.
So where are we coming out on that?
This is a 5% suggested placeholder.
Okay.
But let's put a note there that we want, let's put a note that there may be consideration for the full COLA. Is that okay with you?
Oh, yeah, certainly.
So I will just say in response to that, Tim, is that my brother works for the post office. He's had numerous raises this year and he's expecting 1 or 2 more before because they adjust all the time. So I'm like, okay, that's the government. Thank you. Go away. So Penny started giving me numbers. Let me just see, I just got these this morning, so I might ask, could somebody go and ask Penny to join us? Or if she can work through these numbers and then.
Which are these
Sarah, chair.
numbers?
These, so the next line is FICA, Medi. These are obligatory
Insurance plans.
government, you know, retirement fringe, health insurance,
Yes.
dental insurance, unemployment, all the things that get taken out of a salary before you ever see what you've earned. Thank you, Gordon.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Hi, Penny.
So Penny, I'm gonna hand you back your papers and ask you to be, if you don't mind, to sort of talk us through. The first line that we're coming to is FICA and Medi. If you see. Is that on the- So we're at 28% of budget, the blue line there. We're at 28% of budget this year. Is it the same amount every year, 21,000?
Well, the FICA and Medi has to do with payroll.
So we have to back into
The
that?
federal government sets the rate, it's automatically set. So
Okay,
based on payroll, you know, straight time, if everything stays the same, then yes, the numbers aren't gonna change, but we know in reality, that's not what happens. When you have winter time with the town crew, of course, overtime comes into play. So then it may change a little bit based on hours put in, because the more hours they put in beyond their regular 40 hours, the rate could change a tad. But again, the federal government regulates that. We do not. We have
Right.
no control over that. The FICA and Medi,
So-
federal and Medicare.
so you were on target for last year and this year, fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23 in terms of estimate and actual.
Mhm.
What does the $21,000 figure, is it impacted by salary increases? Or number of employees?
The dollar amount?
Yeah,
No, that's based on the budget hourly rate and the employees, yes.
so we would get this figure after we propose salaries for for
Oh,
everybody.
yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry,
No, no,
yes.
that's fine.
And that's what that's what I give you based on, we know what we currently have.
Yeah,
And like the budgets I put in is for the FY 24, which really starts July 1 of 23. and continues to June 30th of
Yeah.
24. So I've got to project a year ahead what those numbers are going to be.
Mhm.
So yes.
And you base them on a percentage salary increase,
Yes, I did it two ways. I mean, two different
3%
percentages.
and 5%.
5%. Because
Okay.
again, when it comes to budgeting and salaries for the town, even though I'm an elected, my assistant is appointed, it is the select board that has the final decision making of across the board of however it may be.
Yeah.
So did you get a FICA figure for 5%?
When I give you the budget numbers, I am not figuring in
Okay,
FICA.
that's
and
what I
all of
wanted to
that.
know.
That comes out of payroll when
Okay.
payroll is done.
So we'll do that
And
later.
again, that is something the state, we do payroll in-house in January after we do the W-2s for all the employees. Close the year out, starting January 1. With payroll, there are figures from the federal government that are put in there automatically. I personally do not pay attention to them because I have no control over them.
Okay,
And they're across the board. Doesn't matter what your department is and which you're working, your hourly rate. It is the same for everybody.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah.
okay. thank
So
you.
is it fair to put in 21,000 just as
I
a,
think we can, but I just made a note, oops. I put
You
it on.
might wanna, unfortunately, and this is where we've gotten in a pickle in the past. It's been actually pretty good the last 3 or 4 years with the league. Inflation, we know it's not gonna go down. So you might wanna just put a tiny percentage, 2%, 3%, just as a buffer, because we have an audit every year in the spring from the league. It's called a workers' comp audit. And they base it on payroll. And there are some other factors, but a big is our equipment and payroll. And where we've been slapped, I like to use a term rather than, I don't know what else to use, where we've been penalized because we have not budgeted. We hadn't, you hate to say to pad it,
Right.
but in the end, it's better to pad it a little bit and not use it. And then when we have our audit, we did great, and actually sometimes we get refunded versus being slapped and getting a
We
fine
don't wanna get
because we did
slapped.
not budget enough.
Yeah, well, I can
Which
very
in
well
the past,
imagine.
our biggest problem with budgeting was actually highway and overtime. Because you can't
You
predict
can't
it,
predict.
but, and we know we're in a society where everything is just out of control right now with monies, buying. The good thing is with the administrative here, what I do doesn't really change a whole lot as far as expenses for the town. Whereas, like I said, the highway, you've got gravel, you've got salt, you've
Yeah,
got
he's already.
hours on the road, you've got equipment, which can break down. So I'm glad they have their budget, not mine.
So should we put 21 in?
I put
Just to-
21.5.
I think you
21
should.
Yeah.
fine, that's
I
good.
think that's a good.
I think you should wait until you determine what the
I've got a note
salary
to
levels are
determine,
gonna be.
yeah, I will do that too, but this,
Yeah, because if we decide overall that salaries will go up 5%, then this should as well, What happened?
She touched something.
Oh. Anyway, that's the way I see it, is wait.
I agree with you there.
Okay, just wait until we
But-
see what.
And
the
like I
salaries are
said,
gonna look
yeah,
like.
and I've certainly got two figures here. So.
this keyboard makes me
Yeah, it's-
completely berserk.
And I think
I'm
that'd be
sorry.
Well,
Turn.
Yeah,
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 that's an easy.
You want me to run it for a while? Just give you a break? I'm happy to do that.
That might be good so that Sheila
Yeah,
doesn't
you
have to
just
do
do talk and
everything.
show.
Yeah.
Okay, back, retirement fringe, it's okay, it's just like I keep hitting something, I don't know what it is.
Could I recommend that you, could we somehow make a note here, like turn this a different color so we know
I
we're
just,
coming back?
yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. Let me just do this in yellow.
And it just means that we're going to come
Okay.
back to it.
Retirement fringe, Penny.
That is Beamer's. And again, that is based on income. The employee pays about 48%. Beamer's is the retirement, Vermont Municipality Employees Retirement System. And the employee pays 48% and the employer pays about 52%. We get rates every year, which actually, I do need to make a copy for you, so you'll have that. They do change as of July 1 of every year.
So
More times than not.
So last fiscal 22 was 94, fiscal 23 was 9,200.
But it misses the actuals. It looks like the actuals need to be, the actuals in 22 were 10,000. It looks like this is definitely had 10,000. It seems like we should put at least 10,000 in there.
And that, the Beamers is based on income, which again, with the road crew, when they put in overtime, their pension, actually, they pay in on all hours. It's
Right.
not
This-
a straight 40 hours. So
However-
it can increase a little more. And again, that's a number based on hours.
But
Okay.
thi-
And their
that
hourly
is
rate.
that's not appropriate to this number because this does not include highway right here.
Oh, this is just town.
This is just. the
Okay.
town. Yeah.
So as of July 1 of every year, they increase the
Yeah.
numbers.
So there's another thing that we kind of back into. a little
Yeah,
more.
I would put
It's a
10. I got
percent.
You're gonna put
10,000.
10,000.
I
for
put
now.
10
Yeah.
and I've highlighted it in yellow.
Just not far.
Because again, it should be based on whatever the salaries are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
that's
Yeah, and
correct.
there is a percentage.
Yeah.
We do have that.
so for health insurance,
It's like 6.5, or it's gone up to 7%.
The big one. Health insurance.
Health
Health
insurance.
insurance.
12% increase.
12% increase is
It's an
expected.
yes, estimated 12% interest, and actually, I
Increase.
have
Increase.
printed these off if it's of interest of anybody looking at them. I just got these, Blue Cross Blue Shield. We happen to do the bronze, which has a very high deductible when you're talking the deductible, the co-insurance amount, prescriptions,
Mhm.
office visits, right across the board. The reason for that was way back in 2014, when Obamacare came through or was approved, Vermont, it's called the Vermont Health Connect.
Yes.
I'll get it later, thank you.
The insurance world changed. We had from the league, Tanya come down and lengthy discussion and workshops with her to decide what the best, first of all, what the best plan was. In Vermont, we have the choice of MVP, which is a HMO.
Mhm.
So if you're traveling, it would do you no good, Richard, because you're out of the network. Versus Blue Cross Blue Shield of Vermont, you can travel and be anywhere, and if you need to be seen, you have health insurance coverage. So that was kind of how we came to that decision to begin with. Once that was made, then we were looking at premiums for all the employees that qualified or have the health insurance through the town. If we chose the best plan, the gold plan, basically, I think it's like it's probably gone up, 1,200 deductible. In the past, it was 500 when we started this. So right there,
We
it tells
yeah.
you in the, 8-year span, the difference in deductibles. High premium, low deductible, And whether you use it or not, once you've paid it and now you're into a new year, it's gone. You gain nothing by it. And like anything, people are all so different. Some use it, some don't, some partly. So then we come up with the conclusion of the bronze policy with a high deductible. So the premium, whether single, two-person, or family plan, when you take the totals with the employees, the insurance was, the premium is considerably lower than if we use the gold plan. Where the difference comes in with the town is we have what they call an HRA, health reimbursement account. Different than an HSA. And what that is we took the bronze plan and all the deductibles. There's the out-of-pocket prescriptions, and then the overall deductible. With that being said, when you take those totals for the town, whether single, two-person, or family plan, the total that needs to go into what they call the HRA account is $165,450.
Per month.
No, that's per year. What we're anticipating, if there was a catastrophic event with the town employees, everybody used the insurance, that's what we would have to have in this HRA to cover the deductibles or the health insurance. Way back in 2014, we had a lot of money we had to come up with. We set it up. The nice part of the HRA is that is money to the town. That's the town's money. If the insurance world dropped out of sight tomorrow, they cannot take this money. This is the town. We look at it as a savings account. And it took a lot to originally start it, but now it's there. I actually have another graph that I do and keep track of. Based on expenses every month, we reconcile every month with the bank account. And for the year, I base it on, of course, this past year for next year. What we do is replace only what has been spent. So looking now, and I just did this yesterday, the highway fund, it looks like we will have to replace the HRA, 17,400. The general or the administrative part of the office is 21,600. So a total of 39,000 will go back into the HRA to bring it back up to that.
So oh. Using this.
There it is.
Penny, what I'm having trouble understanding here is this the deductible?
That's a wrong, oh, that's in the wrong one. We're down here. We're in the standard plan.
Because
And that's why I highlighted.
okay, because these deductibles.
So if you
seem
look at,
extremely high.
they are, that's insurance. If you look here, this might be a little easier. for you.
Work on this?
Okay.
450 for individual or family.
Because you're more-
Because if
more
you read up
comfortable with
here,
your
it says
math.
double it. For each one of those.
Right.
But this is a little easier for you to look at.
That's okay.
So Penny, just to clarify, the transfer to HRA for this year, you've already, the number is accurate that you're proposing here of 30.
Yes. And that will be, that actually replenishes for FY '24, because we're actually.
So that's the number we would use for FY '24 to replenish for '23, basically.
Yes.
So the HRA goes into the health insurance line item.
It's
Oh,
no, it's
right.
a separate line item.
Where is it?
Right. at the
Oh,
bottom.
the bottom.
03,
Oh,
3000.
transfer. Okay, I see.
That's
Yeah.
what I-
So Penny, what's the number? 21 something again this year?
30.
39,000.
For, no, that's the total. What's the, for the town, not the
Oh, for
highway?
the town, 21,600.
So six.
So it's staying.
So it's the same as, there's no
Yeah,
change.
no change.
Does this require that
I need the cord,
Gotcha,
yeah.
okay.
It won't, it doesn't work. Thank you, Zon.
So then in.
So that's the, but
So-
we skipped a couple lines here.
No, but while she had it
Yeah,
right there, I
yeah.
figured let's
Yep.
just.
Well, then we have to go back to the health insurance.
So for health insurance, I just
Projection.
dropped in 12% increase.
Right.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
So what does that come out to be?
40,300. I gave you those papers, but you might just want to follow them. And then we have dental insurance, Penny.
So I've got a total of, well, you break it out though, highway. I
We
do
do,
have it
yeah.
broken out from highway and town.
Okay, town
What's the-
for
For dental.
dental
what's-
town.
Oh, dental, sorry. Okay, let's see. Okay, so dental, we have for the town, it is, you want the monthly or the yearly?
Annual.
Annual, $2,057.28.
2,057.28.
Because our premium has not changed from July 1, it's still the same.
Okay. It went down.
It went down last year.
Yeah. Thank you.
Or no, it didn't. It's with employees changing and stuff.
Yeah,
That's where
okay.
It caused it to go down.
Yeah. yeah.
Sheila, do you need more room to operate? I'm gonna
No,
shift.
I'm just like, I
You sure?
I hate
need more
this
space.
computer. This is the worst
Really?
laptop ever. So
You're in
I'm
a
just,
weird little corner there.
and everything just. clicks on it. All right, thank you. My genius supporter. I don't need these here right now.
The health insurance at the 4,300, that's for just the town? Or was that town in? I'm assuming it was just. the town.
40,300 is that
Just the
only
town.
Yeah.
town, only the
Thank you,
town.
Because the
Just wanted to be
23 budget was 35.
Just wanted to be clear.
Yes,
Unemployment, we don't do anything because
that's what it
we have
is.
no idea what it's gonna be, right?
Right.
Okay, vision insurance, Penny,
The vision is highway,
only, okay. Zero here.
but I do have figures for you.
Okay.
We get there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And actually, I can fill those in even with outside this meeting. I can work with you on those
Yep.
later, because we're not gonna do the highway till the last thing, because Danny's going away again. Disability insurance,
Okay, and I did break that down. For the administration, it is $1,635.96
1,000.
You mean for the town,
for the town. Yes,
1,000.
600.
36. I just put it in
36.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was you just rounding.
Yeah. So before, this is like most of this is, maybe we gotta get into workers' comp before you go, Penny, but I just wanna say that Penny did this like all yesterday and this morning, and I just have to say, I'm very appreciative that it's all ready for us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Penny.
Thank you, Penny.
I even highlighted or put in different colors.
Tell you
Um,
what. Well,
So-
I'm a
don't throw
visual
those
guy.
away.
Oh, no, these are actually, these are for you guys. I have my copy.
Great.
So before we get, let Penny go, let's go down to general liability, which is 003-3000, 4801.
48,
Um,
yeah.
That's an interesting number.
Okay, that I didn't, let me give a little calculator.
Here, with my phone? Or you'd rather work on your?
No,
calculator?
I'll just, because when it comes to the liability, actually, I have a sheet which breaks it out by the highway, the fire department, town, and workers' comp. So I just gave you some figures that are totals for the whole thing, but I can quickly tell you what the town
The
is.
town, okay.
But we already have it in there,
It
right?
says $750, but you know, if you look at budgeted versus
No, that's
expenses,
not right.
General liability
General
is
is
19.4.
19.4
no, that was in fiscal year 22.
No,
proposed.
here, it's
proposed.
right here on the page that's printed out here. See, look right here. See, it says general liability followed over right here. It's in the proposed budget already.
Well, then, it's
Oh,
numbers
so,
got transposed.
Was that filling by
I
mistake?
think the number just got
Okay.
transferred.
No, wait,
Because if you take-
because the number above is 19.4. I think what we, a number got moved up, a
Okay.
number got changed and all the numbers got moved up.
Okay, so let's see.
So there should be
6,300,
blanks.
66,
21 was,
So
see,
I'm
we
with
paid
you.
a lot back
All right,
then.
so-
66, 21,
And this is
5,
where we were
10.
budgeting.
Yeah, I didn't,
wrong.
I was getting the mouse
40,000.
here.
dental,
So.
unemployment is
I
zero,
think this
vision
is
is zero.
transposed incorrectly.
Transfer to
Yeah, I
HRA
think
is gonna be
so too. Because if
21.
you
just
go
picked up
across,
this
it's
number.
2468, it's about
And then-
10,000.
No, that's on, no,
She
you
just
go
picked
back
up
up.
this
So that was disability
So it's the same.
insurance.
It's
Oh.
back to
And that was
22.
sixteen
I think
thirty-six.
this is an actual.
And then
And I
26,
just said rounding
Yes,
off,
and then
2468.
And then
and then
there should be a
Thousand,
zero.
nine,
followed by
that's what it
21.
was.
Yes, 9,000.
Now, just a second, miscellaneous should be
That's-
zero,
that's
so you need
correct.
to insert, don't just change the number,
well,
okay? Well, you can go, that means you're gonna have to change every one of them, going down from probably several hundred if you do go one by one. You could just insert a cell here and you could push everything down.
I do that.
So go to the 4,000, let's try that.
Are you spotting something we need to identify over there?
No,
No, we're just
I think this, yeah,
clarification.
just got
Insert
transposed
one.
incorrectly.
it just went to the wrong place on, I'm sorry, so let me just,
The one maybe we should have
Okay, now
transposed
you got-
was 9,300
Yeah, let's insert a
fiscal
cell
year
right
22
there.
over, because that's what it's
Make
coming
it
out to.
zero. Reference does not exist.
so are you on the miscellaneous line now?
Yes. that's
0,
right.
146, 0, 0, 0. This is,
So you're on miscellaneous, says the gray over
zero.
there, so it should be
So-
zero. So you enter it. Go ahead.
no,
Yeah.
that is still wrong there.
Well, that also then needs to be, oh, I see.
Okay, so after miscellaneous is emergency management,
No, wait. So we've got an extra number in this here. So
so I can go over that later, the
Yeah.
delta, I can worry about, people don't need to worry about the
So
delta.
for the liability, did you want a truer number?
I think we're set now. I think you're in the right
Should be
order.
around 9,000.
Advertising and subscription should be 4,000.
9,000 for liability.
Yes.
Oh, Penny,
No.
I'm sorry, somebody wants to get some books to take for Michael Fishing. There's somebody here to get books.
Oh. Yes.
So if we go up from general liability, sorry. Miscellaneous is 0, emergency management was, these are not numbers that we've talked about yet. Advertising and subscriptions, 1,000, annual
Yes.
training, 15.
Advertising and subscriptions here says 4,000.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was,
so there, that's where another number got added. So, no, wait, go back, do Control Z. You move very fast, Sheila.
who did these, who proposed these numbers?
Well, wait, let's just wait a second, Tim, if you
Okay.
don't mind. One second, we need to straighten this out because we've got numbers in and out. Numbers are disappearing here. Okay, so let's go up to advertising, which is 3030. And let's get on it. Now insert a cell right there. So click on that cell. No, not the whole line, please, just that cell. Yeah, okay, then, good, then insert a cell. Oops, choose shift down. There you go. Now, it doesn't have the math or whatever's in there, it's not red at this point, yeah, okay. But now the next number should be 1,000. The
That is
next number
travel.
Yeah, and the next number after that should be 1,500 and then 19.
Annual training, 1,000, travel and expenses, 1,500, general liability, 19.
And then you're at legal services and that
We'll go there, but I didn't do the workers'
should
comp
be
yet.
750.
Okay,
Just type
workers'
in,
comp is 750?
that's what it said in the page. Well,
Okay.
still, okay, now I think we're good to go. So,
Okay, so sorry, everybody.
It's all right.
It's
So,
very
but
touchy.
Sheila, you populated these earlier?
Peter created this. I put in the figures for 20, 10, 21, 22. And I put in some notes, but he's done.
He populated the 24th where he knew.
Yes, yeah.
So these are.
So he did this back in August.
Right.
Okay, so we need to get back up to,
Emergency management.
all right, this is complicated. This is not a fund. This is probably a salary. So
It's definitely a salary. And this, we're in,
it's interesting.
It's part of Peter's wage, isn't it?
It's
It
in
is.
addition, we paid him an additional $6,300 for emergency management. And if this is the wage line, I don't think he's been collecting, but I don't know for sure. So I'm just gonna say, check if wage line. That's all. I don't even know what else to do right now for that. I'm just gonna
Well,
highlight
But
this
it's
in
spent,
yellow.
there's 1,130 already.
I know, I don't know
just
from where.
absorbed. Okay.
okay, so, yeah, that's a separate question from a budget issue.
Yeah.
that we're looking at. So we need to stay on the budget here. Yeah.
Okay, so I've just highlighted that in yellow.
Oh, good.
All right, advertising and subscriptions. We are already at 73% of budget.
Probably because subscriptions,
Postcards.
they're annual, and so they get done at you advertise and you subscribe on an annual basis, and all those costs come. at a certain
Partly,
time of year.
we've
Is that
also
the-
had we've had to publish public notices, and we've had to publish
Job
job postings. And so,
The postcards don't go under that line.
I
We sent out a couple of postcards,
then it could,
mass mailing.
yeah,
think,
Yeah.
no, we have a separate, we have postage down here below.
yeah, but there's also
the-
creating,
Creating.
Yeah.
you know,
and
the
stock
mailers and stuff
yeah.
like that. So, so last year was 4,800. And this year we're at 2,000, already 73% of budget. So I think we might need to go up to 5,000 for next year.
Well,
And hopefully
let's-
that's not too conservative.
let's think about this. Part of the reason that we're having to spend money this year is because it's an election year. And
That
that's
goes
why
into an
things,
election budget.
so what are we spending money
So we
on?
had the extra vote this year.
That would be an
Sorry,
election.
that's not in this, and that's not in this, the extra vote was last year. That was the, in last fiscal year.
What's an example of a subscription?
So we subscribe to the Commons and the Reformer.
Is
That's it.
VLCT in there?
No,
Okay.
no, there's a different line for VLCT, but advertising.
That's what most.
That's advertising when we've had to advertise public notices for meetings and things like that.
I would suggest that we, given that one of the goals of the select board is transparency, that we are prepared to advertise more about what we're doing, and to expect that we want to send a postcard alerting the town to some issue.
All right, so what I hear you saying is that it sounds like maybe next year in 2024, we'd like to run the year something like we're running this year. In other words, we are
Yes.
communicating
Right.
more broadly.
And we should be thinking about communicating more and raising the amount of money that we need to communicate. That's
And
my.
we're sure this is the area where postcards fits in. Is that-
But the
Given.
point is, this year, in June, in July, August, and September, we've done no postcards. So
Okay, so that's not that then, it's something else. But we could get the detail for this. Let's turn that yellow and come back to that.
So
all
you
right?
don't think that's postcards?
Well, we don't know what it is. She just said we didn't spend any money on postcards, so we don't know what it is. I'm not saying either one is a liar, but we don't know at this moment. That's a good point.
annual training. So annual training here is VLCT workshops, town fair, budget workshops, some of which we've done online. We have not done any that we have been billed for in this quarter yet. And I think it's reasonable to leave it at 1,000. Most of those fees don't really go up that much.
I think so too.
I agree.
Well, part of the, in the sense of transparency and training and all that, that we want to.
So, and travel and expenses, I'm just gonna say, as more Zoom is used and more webinars are presented, this line could probably come down to
Mhm.
750.
Okay,
So
So what?
750.
We're just about to.
everybody think, I mean, also if people online can chime in.
I agree.
Thank you. Okay, Penny, we were at general liability, which is gonna be 19,400.
No, 9,000.
9.
It should be
Yes.
9,000.
Oh,
I don't know where the 19 came from.
my
Well,
bad.
wait, well, there's,
got carried
it's carried forward from previous years on the budget. It was 19.4 in the 2 previous years. So why is it 9.4 this year?
Um,
I mean, the
well,
19.4 is
I
wrong.
think-
This is wrong.
and I don't know for sure. I think a lot of numbers have been carried over from before.
Without,
And if we look at, I just happened to do a little number game. And that's where I said, budgeting is kind of important when it comes to
Mhm.
the property and casualty for the town. Back in 2017, our
Okay.
yearly premium for, the fire department, the highway, the
Mhm.
office, and workers' comp, this is also workers' comp included. It was almost $60,000 a year. Last year, we paid 45,500.
so the budget was at variance by $15,000.
Well, and that's where we're getting better in numbers
Okay,
over
so-
the years.
so-
So, yeah, and even looking at the town workers' comp, you put those numbers in, it's still, it's under 10,000, so.
So here it says, can we finish the general liability? Are you suggesting that we are okay to budget 9,400 next
Yes.
year? Get down to workers' comp, I have 750 in there. Which was, I don't have that, which is what Peter budgets every year, workers' comp.
Okay,
looks
so
about right.
that I would put actually 1,200.
And the reason for that,
Because it's
It's a more realistic.
278 per quarter. So if you multiply that by 4,
okay,
yes.
And if we're a quarter through the year and we're at 278 now and we're over budget by
So I'm gonna round it up to
37%,
300.
I think
So 1,200.
what
1,200.
Penny's recommending makes more sense.
1,200.
all right, I put 1,200 in there. Okay, I think that might be it.
Thank you.
Have
for
you
the
got other stuff for us
clarification.
yet? No?
I'm working on elections.
Oh, okay.
I've got it outdone, but that's.
Do you wanna
something
do
I
that?
don't need right now.
Let's do that
I
later.
can give
Yeah.
you- Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
But Penny, this really helped. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
for having
then
all
just
this
letting you
ready.
know, this paperwork is yours, and actually the highway, there is information on the highway.
All right, good.
So-
We'll get you or somebody back, obviously.
Put a paper
Oh, no,
clip on.
I make copies before I give you copies.
Okay. I mean, we'll get you back to talk is what.
But it's good to have more accurate information.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
You're welcome.
We'll see you more.
Legal services.
So a couple of meetings ago, the select board noticed that we are at 100% of budget in the first quarter. And we are now well over that 100% of budget in October. Sorry. Yeah. And we agreed to pay for these increasing and never-ending legal services, need for legal services out of the reserve fund. That was voted on at one of the select board meetings. I think we just need to suggest 20 to 25,000.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I mean,
It's
it's
unfortunate, but I think you
it's
have.
Yeah.
where we are.
And I don't know
unbelievable.
It's
if
really-
you want to go to 20.
I think we should put in 25,000.
agree.
Because I think that we need.
I
to-
agree as well.
It's not gonna
And
stop.
if people are shocked by this, then it might be a graphic reminder of what we're facing.
I agree.
Rusty, do you have a feeling? He agrees.
I agree too. That's fine.
Thank you.
Communications,
Very unfortunate.
yeah,
God,
it just doesn't stop. It's every day now.
two
Sometimes it's
yesterday.
more than once a
From the
day.
same source?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Communications, it seems pretty reasonable. I think Peter put this number 3750 in, expecting some sort of increase.
I think this might be where
Oh,
communications.
this might be the postcards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this might be the postcard area. So I think
That's why.
it's a good, I mean, I might push it up a little higher.
I'm
Go,
gonna
I
say
think,
mailers,
yeah, put it there as a note. And,
mailings.
I would propose I mean, no, 3750 is fine, but 5,000 would be fine with me too.
So if you think about mailings in the coming year, there might be something from like the Energy Committee. Wait a minute, no, that's in this fiscal year. There's
We're
no
still a
town
year out.
report, there's no public, there's no,
There's no elections.
No
Planning
elections
committee,
in
planning-
2000.
Planning commission.
Their planning commission is going to start getting more and more active, but they'll have a budget, but we.
they have a
might
budget and we're putting that into their budget. So I think 37,375.
All right, let's leave it.
Okay. Technology fees,
This is just in support
What's
of.
this for
IT.
internet?
Yeah, it's probably not. for-
no,
No, it's
No.
licensing.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah. Oh,
we're
sorry.
also. How come maybe? Okay, so I think
Could
that
be annual
our
licenses.
consultant, our technology consultant goes under technology fees. And so we're paying $500 a month now for somebody to update the website, to maintain the website and assess based on that experience, whether there should be changes to the website. So I think you want to take the 25 and multiply it by 4
I think so too.
and adjust downwards maybe a little bit. I don't even know what that is.
So make it 8,000 or 9,000?
10,000, I would
I
say.
would say 10,000.
What, this is, you're on the
Technology.
technology
Technology
fees.
Yeah,
Certainly, if you're paying somebody 500 a month, then that's only a
6,000.
portion of it. you know.
Yeah. I'll put in 10,000.
And there may be, there may be ARPA dollars available for this as a source, is what I'm saying. But so we could consider budgeting. We have till 2026 to think about ARPA dollars coming into the budget and being part of how we fund projects and work.
But significant improvements to the website were really on people's minds, like you might say an overhaul to
Yeah, I
make
think
it user friendly.
my guess is that actually 10,000 is not going to be enough.
Wanna go to 12?
Yes.
More like 15 probably, because we're going to probably be looking at a pretty impressive overhaul of the website.
Yeah.
Based on a lot of input from folks.
Oh, where did that go?
Do we have that person? Like,
Yes, we have contracted.
She's working. There's a woman.
yeah. she's
Yeah,
actively-
she's doing stuff, yeah.
So what are you changing it to?
I changed it to
15.
15. Technology,
15.
yeah.
Okay, office supplies is constant at 3,500. I think that's good.
Oh,
Well,
excuse me, Sheila, and son, I just wondered whether we might want to put a note next to the 15,000 that might say ARPA ? Or something.
Very good.
Just that it might be that some of this could be,
Well, the point is that we will not lower that number because we've got ARPA dollars. We'll just know that
Assign it
there's
to a
that
different
we'll-
fund, yeah.
there's yeah. But that's a very good point, Brenda. So we know why we're feel justified in raising the number.
yeah, it's the will of the people.
In this case, you're right.
So I'm putting these notes here. I will keep them, but remember that you all are going to, at town meeting, use this discussion to help explain why the figures are the
Right.
same, different,
Right.
Office equipment. You know, I think you might want to put in an inflation factor here.
Definitely.
Maybe just 2,200.
I agree with that.
Service. Staff.
Office equipment contracts, I think we know what they're supposed to cost, so we always over budget by a little bit. Postage.
It's in the spirit of communication. So
Okay,
Peter has already
he said there's an
anticipated.
email. I need to look at, there's a question here about elections.
What's the email?
I have an email from Peter. I don't even remember what it says.
But
I
I'm
think
sure
it's-
he's just justifying. the
Yeah, that's
increase.
what I think too. So I think he's justifying the
I'm
increase.
gonna check just because.
I think we should, I would propose we leave that number.
I
as it
do, I think
stands,
so, yeah.
Just to support our
It's
communications. efforts.
documented.
So the question is, I need to see if this has, we just had a huge cost for mailing out all the JP ballots, so I don't think that one, I don't know if that goes under election or postage. I'll check.
Well, yeah, there would have been the,
Should,
also the ARPA mailing.
Yeah.
Was a big deal. There was postage involved with that. That would,
That
that would be our work because. it
that
a
was, that's
subcommittee.
pretty much included in here, I think, because we
Yeah.
paid for that already. And
Yeah.
we
But again, there's a good use of ARPA
Yeah,
dollars.
yeah.
As far as uses.
That was certainly justified.
Yeah.
They're asking, how should we use them?
All right. And the information,
Oh.
just so you all know, we had a meeting last night, ARPA, it's very good information that came back from the committee. We got a very healthy response to the survey, and it's been very useful for the committee then to figure out categories, and it looks like we're gonna come up with some good stuff, so good looking.
You'll let us know later.
Yeah, yeah, well, they're building a report, and it'll come out of that.
Yeah, it's a very diverse and positive working group.
Are we on technical support now?
Yeah, and I'm writing a note to myself to say, what does this cover? Because I don't know how to answer, you know, and so that's, I need to look at that
Yeah.
versus the technical fees.
Because that's probably gonna go up too.
Yeah, but I think maybe that we took the technology fees and I'm assuming that that's where Marjorie's costs are going or the
Mhm.
future, but maybe it goes under technical support. So I need to check that. I'm
So
sorry.
there's a potential for moving that
Yeah,
15,000
yeah,
number down.
elsewhere, yeah.
Okay. And then he's proposing potentially putting things together, but
Oh, okay, here's a weird thing. This is actually very simple. We have two lines to cover mowing the lawns, basically. One is one of the four entities that the lawns get mowed is covered under grounds. Or three are covered under that, and one is covered under maintenance. So the proposal is that the select board amend a line 003-3068, building repair, maintenance / grounds,
That makes sense.
and eliminate,
6801.
Where are the
yeah,
ends?
combined maintenance.
but
improvements.
putting the amounts together would be a little
Yes.
over $10,000 then. 9,000,
Yeah,
yeah, okay, so.
and then one of the things that happens here is, I just, because of all my,
we won't do that now. We're not doing that action right now, but it's part of.
we
the
can,
budget.
you can decide that you're gonna, this is one of those things that you can do. So.
Do we need to make an action and vote on it?
I'm gonna find out.
So not right now.
And so that would be 10,000 if you do combine those two lines.
Yeah, it looks like about 10,000.
Now, in my ongoing education, if there are maintenance improvements over $2,500 to a building, it can be capitalized, so it would come out of not the general operating fund, but something else. So blah, blah, 2750.
So that's why building improvements here is 500, because we don't usually do building improvements that are less than 2,500. So they're all
So
capitalized.
this is
They come from-
$9,650.
Yeah.
Everybody's impressed about how adept I am. with-
Yes.
You've learned a lot.
So what are building improvements?
No, I'm talking about stupid, I can't do Excel spreadsheets. Like in my life, I've never been able to do Excel spreadsheets. Building improvements, that's not capital, electricity.
So building improvements are actual big, large improvements that we make, but the reason this number is so low is because most of our building improvements are over 2,500, so it comes from a different budget. That's not even related.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna say, why do we have this line?
Little improvements.
Tiny things. Got it,
Well, and you think we just redid the office and everything. There shouldn't have been. And looking back, that's why it's 0
Right.
in
I think we
22.
just, out of, abundance of caution, leave $500.
Right.
Might want to move it.
Well, I
down to
mean, it
12.
might be a broken
A little
window or
light.
something
Right.
like
Yeah,
that.
exactly, or, yeah, exactly.
Figuring out how to have it be less cold in the meeting.
Oh my God, we're still working on that. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm putting.
No, I mean, maybe we could spend some building improvement money on figuring out how to override.
Maybe we could spend some money bribing the plumber to get there
There
and
you go.
fix this.
That's it. That's
Where's
it.
where's it called?
Well, this
I
room,
actually figured it out today. It's
Okay.
on heat again, not cool. Last night it was on
Thank
cool.
goodness.
So it's,
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, I'm.
we also
here
need
in
instructions
sweaters.
for all of us to know.
A workshop.
Ugh,
Came in here last night. I swear it was 52 degrees. while
Yeah.
we were having
Oh,
our
that's
meeting.
too
It was
cold.
really cold and blowing full force.
Oh, no.
Okay,
Patty Bullock is probably
electricity.
gonna get sick.
electricity, anybody's guess is as good as anybody's guess. Same thing with heating. It looks like Peter put in,
And we'll,
Well, heating should definitely go up.
well,
The price of oil,
oh yeah. Let's see, we had a 2,000.
you had 2020, I would put that up because,
Well, he added $500.
yeah,
but that's.
You
not
think that's
probably
enough?
No, I don't think
Yeah.
so.
No.
Let's move it up to 4,000.
yeah.
You use fuel oil here?
We have
this building, right?
Yeah,
propane
there's propane.
Propane.
and mini splits.
Mhm.
And I don't think we use fuel oil here. And so it's
Well,
mostly
propane,
electricity.
I guess.
So I'm gonna disagree with you respectfully, sir,
You want
And
to keep
say-
it line, you want to keep it,
that
well,
heating,
Well, the cost of propane has gone up significantly.
it's gonna be like maybe $5 a gallon or something like that. All right, I'll write a note here and check.
Okay,
Gosh,
check.
You guys are giving me so much. work.
it's not going to stop going up, that's for sure.
No.
But don't we use electricity for heat?
Okay, remember, we're not talking this winter, we're talking next winter. I just wanna like center everybody.
Which next winter is expected to be quite different from this winter.
It's going to be of our discontent, do you think?
Yeah.
No, this is it.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, electricity, heating. Are you leaving us, Gordon?
No, I'm getting a drink.
Abatements. We never,
Telephone and internet.
oh yeah, telephone and internet, whatever.
What is
Just a
that?
note.
Well,
Sheila,
consolidated pretty much, sorry, what?
Just a note, Sheila, your comment or your note on the line electricity. I think you wanted to have it up a line.
You're right. Excuse me.
You need some water?
I got it. Here's some of this. Thank you, Lynn. Okay, heating. Check trend in propane. Abatements, it's just a suck your thumb number because we never know if they're gonna be tax abatements.
So
Telephone.
those come from requests from individual
Yeah.
citizens. So
And they're-
do you know what those are, Tim? Yeah, so that just, we don't have to tax abatements as they're going on working unless somebody asks for one.
I see.
Yeah, so that's why we have to leave something in.
Yes.
That's
But
town
your,
staff time.
but your telephone and
composition.
internet looks
Or,
quite low.
No, so an abatement is how
Sure.
much you give somebody back on their
okay.
taxes.
But if you look at previous years that we've actually spent,
No, I'm looking at what
Oh,
you spent this year
60,
so far.
60%, I see what you mean, yeah.
Oh, you're on telephone and internet now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, should we shove that number up, you
Yeah.
think? If that's 60%, we
I
have,
don't know why.
Why
it's
would
going
that
up.
be
No,
up
our
so
fees are,
significantly?
um,
Fiber hasn't changed here in 3 years
I know.
in telephone contracts. I mean,
They're not going up if inflation is not affecting them.
it might be, but it's not affecting them 60 or
Okay, I'll look
30%
into this.
over where we would normally be. I mean,
Mhm.
something seems a little off there.
It does.
and, yeah,
I think you could still budget for what you have and look into
I'll look
maybe
into
what
this.
the issue is.
So leave it at 4,500.
I would-
For now, I mean, you know, when we meet the next time, I'll have information on these figures, so we'll start there. Vehicle damage, 0,000.
Yay.
So we're already, without knowing other numbers, at $30,000 higher than last year, just in the select board mandated things.
and the bulk of that is the legal fees.
I'm gonna suggest that we stop here.
Yeah, it's 10:30.
It's almost 10:30, because I have something else to say.
I'm eagerly awaiting.
Do we
what
need
you
to,
say.
excuse me, is this part of the budget process, or can we close the meeting?
It's kind of part of the budget process.
All right,
It is part of the budget process.
all right, good. I just didn't know
So,
whether to close the meeting or not.
Do you want us to stay here?
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is
If you're-
for
if you're willing.
everybody's benefit. Okay, so I'm just gonna say, start here, 11:10 or whatever time our next meeting is. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. Both of these changes. Hi, everybody. Okay. So I just thought I'd go through, I started the meeting out talking about capitalization and capital funds, but I wanted to just say that we have a large number of funds. So I'm gonna, let me see if I can put this up on the screen. Hold on, everybody. Another miracle might take place. Share screen. Not what I want. I'm gonna go back to fiscal year 24 budgets. Funds and balances. So the town has a large number of funds. And I just thought I'd walk through them so you all know where we are. So we have those of you who have the hard copy will notice that you have pages where
Crossed out.
it's crossed out, and that's because the two top lines get carried forward to every page that I printed. So again, not a spreadsheet maven here, but you got the numbers. You just got them more than once.
Do we
So
have numbers?
what?
I said, do we have?
Do you have
numbers?
numbers? Yes. Okay, so 003 and 009 are the general, the municipal, and the 009 is the highway operating funds. And then 010 is the highway reserve fund. I would like to note that this year, the Vermont legislature said you don't have to limit your highway reserve funds to highway use, which means there's,
Bill?
yeah,
Well, keep talking. Tell us
Okay,
more. What does
which
that
means
mean?
that we have a highway surplus fund of close to $1 million now. What I don't know and what I need to look into is if you have to make one general operating reserve fund budget, or if you can keep a highway fund budget. And I think it would benefit the town to keep a highway reserve budget because we're doing many paving projects, many improvement projects, and we're getting grants, but I just submitted a 200 and we just paid, remember last meeting, we had a $267,000 paving budget,
Paving,
and
yeah.
that was not.
Right, correct.
That was not the complete bill for Heinsberg Road. It was most of it. And we had, and so each, and the other paving projects were paying out of the Highway Reserve Fund. And so I I think if we can, until we see where we're going with paving projects and bridges and stuff like that, we've got the Fitch Road Bridge the state is asking us to fix. So there's a bunch of things. So I think it makes sense to keep this money set aside for highway purposes if legally we can do that.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you said back at the very front, you said that it's, the state said we're not required to spend only highway dollars with highway reserve funds. Is that what you
It's,
said?
I said the Highway Reserve Fund is no longer a mandatory. It can be used for other purposes, for purposes other than the highway.
So in Guilford's case, we could, I'm just keep going for a second. In Guilford's case, we could essentially take the highway reserve fund and move it into the general operating reserve fund. Is that?
That would be the Reserve Fund General 007.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I think we could.
But, or we could leave it.
Sorry.
Hmm.
But we don't have another reserve fund that, we have the capital reserve fund, which we could put into that, but then you would be limited to use those things for capital
So if
assets.
it's completely, go ahead.
Well, no, the only thing I was gonna add to this is I think the town's done an outstanding job securing these funds for the future, meaning we have these reserve funds for a very good reason, particularly pertaining to the highway and the issues that you're mentioning, the Fitch Bridge
Right.
or, bridges in general. My own personal opinion being coming from the select board years and now this would be to keep this as a separate
Yeah.
entity, knowing you could potentially use it for other
Right.
general fund, general reserve fund
Yeah.
things, but I think keeping the designation the way it is gives it some focus
Okay.
to specific.
And
things.
it could be transferred in an emergency
Exactly.
situation. for
Yeah,
instance.
I'm certainly not looking at like a money grab to suddenly move
No,
a bunch of
no.
money, but I'm just wanting to understand the technicalities of how it works. So it's not to say that a highway reserve fund has to go away. It's
That's what
simply-
I don't know, Zon. That's
Okay.
what I said is
If
I
it
need
She's
to check.
unclear, but if
and
it
see
doesn't have to.
if
If
go,
it
there's a
doesn't have
stick-
to go away, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and I'm
If it
gonna
did,
say that if it doesn't
a
have
whole
to go
different-
away, that's where we should go.
So the other option then would be if it did have to go away, then any of these kinds of reserve, any of these highway issues would need to come out of the general reserve then. And we'd have to, that's a different kind of mindfulness.
Exactly.
We'd have to
So-
bring to the process.
And you'd also have to be mindful of the fact that if there were an emergency, it could be taken from the highway reserve fund for something other than the highway.
Yeah, exactly. So.
As long as the understandability. is there
Right,
for
exactly.
everybody.
So it's just it's
You're right.
crisscrossing.
Yep.
Everybody clear online here?
I had a mistake here,
That's
sorry.
a new word for me.
What, understandability?
Yeah.
Clarity. You're right.
And we also, just to say it out loud, because I want to make sure that, does every single one of these reserve funds then, where there are reserve funds, they have a spend down plan as well?
No,
They do not. I thought
not
they did.
necessarily. So
Okay.
for 010, which is the Highway Reserve Fund, it's supposed, right now it's dedicated to highway expenditures. The 004 Capital Fund is, it's a restricted fund. It's for planned and unplanned capital expenditures.
Oh, so,
Outside the,
okay, sorry, what I meant by plan was not so much what it has to go toward, but that the number, when the numbers get to a certain height, they have to be spent down.
Only
according to
one
a plan.
fund.
Only one fund.
yeah, so
Which
I
is
thought it
that?
would be helpful to go through this today.
Yeah.
So, where's my notes on the funds that we created? So we'll get back to this. We created the capital fund, that's the 004 thing, in 2007 with no definition of what capitalization was or anything. So in 2015, the select board did the capitalization policy, which says it's for this, and they use that. We're still at about $443,000 in that reserve fund. The cemetery fund, they have a lot of money. Miranda, what are you gonna do with this?
Well,
I mean, that's not your commission fund, that's the cemetery fund.
Now, I'm a little confused because there are all of these sort of picky little cemetery funds that that have, and I'm not sure whether, like the Warren something or other fund and,
So you know what, we should talk, you and I should talk about whether we want to combine these funds into one, not cemetery commission fund, but one cemetery maintenance fund or something like that.
okay, well, why
If
don't
we
we,
do that?
let's definitely do that. It will be so fun.
Oh, yeah. And we might not be able to based on the restrictions on the original fund setup, because sometimes people
Yes,
say.
I mean,
okay, we need
years
to-
ago, Jerry James tried to parse all of those little funds and make them available, and he ran up against great frustration, but maybe we'll have better luck together.
It's,
Okay.
yeah, it's possible that they're constrained. in
Yeah,
their
yeah, no,
assets.
because you
They're
can read
probably
in the town
legacy-
report.
they were legacy
Some of them are,
gifts.
you can only spend the interest, and then not necessarily something like that. The reserve fund, general fund is just our general reserves. This is the one that's, if you go under, it has to be a minimum of 5% of expenditures projected every year, and then no more than 20% of projected expenses.
That's when you were speaking of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
so-
so this has a 5 to 20%
Yeah,
use.
and it says right here.
Okay,
Here, okay, so now according to the audit, we have 117,000 excess dollars in this fund. And the auditors have recommended that we use at least that amount elsewhere. And so
Well, we
when,
have to, don't we?
Yes.
yes, it has to be moved elsewhere. And so there are a number of potential,
potentially political.
potentially political considerations, but I would just say that the town wants to consider, we have ARPA funds in the amount of 547. We have the Vermont bond, which is somewhere between $175,000 and $195,000. We have this 117,000, and we should be looking at projects that the town might want to do, like just not immediately putting it
Yes,
someplace.
exactly.
Can we transfer it into the capital reserve fund?
You might be able to, I'd have to ask the auditors that, and do we want to do that?
So in other words, this
Because-
117,000 could be spent in the next budget year, or it could be put potentially into a reserve fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it
If
could
I,
be used,
if,
or it could
I
be
mean, I
used
have
in
a call
a
with
partic-
the auditors to ask for
Okay,
tomorrow. I
so
don't
that-
know the answer to that
All right.
question. I mean, we might want to consider putting it into bridges or something.
That's
because,
exactly any of our funds, or it
So-
could be into a specific project that doesn't even exist yet.
Yeah,
That we're
But
holding.
I just want to remind people that the purpose of setting up these funds, they're kind of savings accounts so that we don't incur the cost of debt going forward. We are trying to minimize debt cost to the town for projects that are considered important. Okay, now we have bridges. Right now, we have $439,000 in bridges. That would be about 60% of the cost of repairing one bridge in town. So it's not a lot. The Green River Covered Bridge Fund is the town allocates $12,500 to this fund every year. The purpose of, I think this was set up in about 2015. And the idea was that in 25 years, we might need to have major repairs done to the covered bridge. So we're saving for 25 years, so we don't have to take out a bond, et cetera. The Act 64 is just helping, it's just helping us be in compliance with Vermont's Clean Water Act, big deal. ARPA fund, it says 241, but I think it's now 574,000, because I think we've got the next,
Yeah, that's only the first.
That's the first
yeah,
half.
that was the
Yeah.
first half. And now we go into
I
Birdie
thought
Cook.
that we're finished. The art fund.
They're-
Well,
they're-
the money has
we
come.
own them.
But we haven't expended them.
Oh, I see.
It's
Okay.
just. a-
And this is only reflecting the first payment, so we got two payments. It's
This
just a
is
little-
probably more in the range of 550K.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I just want Bernard Gale Fund, CA King Fund, CA King and Line, Taft Wood Fund. Those are all funds set up for dedicated purposes that can, sometimes you can only spend the interest, whatever, they're not very big. The preservation fund, this is for records preservation. So Penny just was called out of this meeting to send some books for microfiche. So every year we contribute $3,500 to this fund, just to make sure that our records are protected.
Should this may be pointless, but should we have to say that every time this is records? Should we change the name of that fund to records preservation?
It's called, it's for the restoration, preservation, conservation.
No, I know what it's for. Should we change the name of it? So that it's
I don't know what the
that-
process is of changing the name.
Yeah, we should.
Should be record preservation.
I think let's
If
look
you
at
could
that
do
and see,
that,
because
Oh,
if we have to say it every time,
Yeah.
and if people in the community, if they saw records preservation, it's very clear,
Yeah.
much clearer than.
Good
It's not
suggestion.
natural resource preservation.
Yeah.
It's not human.
Don't we?
okay. Lister education, where is this going?
Bullock.
Bullock is a lot of schedule. Okay, why is that? Lister education is pretty explanatory. I don't know why I can't stay on it, but never mind. Reappraisal. Okay, I'm informed by this listers that we're going to have to do a reappraisal next spring
Yep.
because our numbers are different. There's been so many real estate sales and transactions that our valuations have met the threshold for instituting a reappraisal of property
Yeah.
tax.
Which
So
we
we-
have to do every 5 years anyway.
10.
But
10
you
years.
did we do a digital?
Well, I don't think that actually happened.
Oh,
I think there was.
I was
change
wondering
in
about
that,
that,
yeah.
400, the VCDP grants, the Vermont Community Development Program grants funds. These are planning grants, and most of the money for the library feasibility study and the architects came out of this fund this year. It says there's a $22,290 deficit. I don't know if the funds, I think the funds came in and were attributed to this fund, but I have to go back and do some research on this.
So ideally, this would say at least 0.
It should be 0. I mean, I would hope it would be 0 because it came in, it was dedicated to community development grants. Why is that a net? I've got to figure out if we just haven't had the right reimbursements yet. And I thought those should have come in a year ago, but I don't know that for
You might
sure.
want
So
to
we-
talk to Isaac about that.
I talked to Isaac.
It might be good to also say, just so it's clear that because the library is an asset of the town, these figures sit in the select board's knowledge base. It's not like these figures should be sitting over at the library or something. We have to review these figures as select board members.
401 was set up in fiscal year 22 to cover potential expenses for the Guilford Free Library addition. So there have been the architect fees and the consultant Isaac Wagner fees have been expensed from this fund, but this fund has not been replenished by moving grant funds into it. So it shows no income, only expenses. I will note that neither consultant fees or architect fees can be capitalized. They are paid out of operating funds.
So is the expectation these numbers will
They should,
become
I have to,
net zero.
this is what I have to call into the
But-
auditor, they should be 0. Or we should have shown more revenue into the VCDP grants funds and less, and that should balance out the
These two should
current
balance.
negative balance, yeah. Although VCDP grants have covered other things as well.
Yeah.
Like CC4G feasibility study some years ago. Algiers waterline construction, we just mostly interest, I think, gets into that. And that's just in case we have to do something more based on what the town of Brattleboro decides. The Guilford Center Bike and Pedestrian Study Fund shows only expenses now because I need to figure out how to submit for reimbursement for that feasibility study.
Which we will get.
Which is a grant, was a grant.
It was a grant, yeah,
So those three negatives theoretically.
yeah.
So it strikes me that it seems a little, well, just from an accounting point of view, the accountant's calling is supposed to do, but the idea that every single project that we do is set up as a different fund seems remarkable to me. It seems to me that the town might have an area called
Projects or
projects,
something.
activities or something, grant funded projects,
Yeah.
and it would just all work in one big pool, not to hide things, but just, this is, will get quite redundant after years, 10 years down, we've got all these funds that are. no
Well,
longer
so what
active.
we need to do, I think, is go and clean them up.
Yeah.
But the grants do come in and they do get expensed and they need to balance out each other.
So we should be able to expect from what you're saying today that there are about $100,000 of negative here in the lower portion of this page. And that should all get,
Most of
Sure.
it should come from grants.
should be turned to zero or near.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what my brain says too. So
But John, I agree with you. I don't recall
The only new one here is
buckets
the,
like that in the
no,
past.
the only new one here is the 401, the Guilford Free Library. Everything else has been here a long time.
Not the
The water line
bike-
has.
Oh, the
the Guilford
407,
Center
the
bike
bike
path,
extension.
you know.
405.
Yeah.
I think just watching that is a thing as we go
So
forward.
this is where we get into the need for a professional treasurer,
Yeah,
because why do we have
Agreed.
buckets if we don't have somebody managing grants? And
right,
so,
exactly,
and it just complicates.
exactly.
I mean, you see that I have hundreds of pages here that I'm
Right.
looking at trying to sort through these
Right.
things.
No, exactly. I agree with you.
No question.
So if you had a grant, for instance, a project grants fund, and then you could have underneath it the line items that, where the expenses and where the income and expense are.
Yeah, so it's common to have a
Right.
fund activity. where
Exactly.
Each one has a
So that,
column.
how you would understand, how you could track it.
Yeah, exactly.
Much better.
Okay, then you got Sweet Pond Dam, which was used originally to repair the dam, and now there's funds in there to draw on going forward. Here's. And then the planning,
What's the bullet fund? It's only.
it's a
Isn't
scholarship.
that the scholarship fund?
Yeah, it is.
It was a
I'm not
legacy
sure, there's
grant. It was a
there's
gift.
another one.
Listed twice.
A gift to
No,
the town.
no. There's Bullock Scholarship, but it's quite a bit larger, quite a bit larger. They're very different funds, I think. One is Bullock
So-
Scholarship and one is Bullock.
And then in, I don't know, 2014, the select board created commission reserve fund. So if they didn't spend their budget, their money goes into the budget. And during COVID, when the select board was being very mindful of people's income situations and stuff like that, I think we drew on those funds to cover the budgets for the year, rather
Some
than
portion.
raising through taxes. But
Some portion of that.
but this is, so now these commissions have a pretty healthy balance. And the planning commission is going to ask to be able to keep this balance and use it during the coming year. So this one will probably look very different at the end of fiscal year 23. The Conservation Commission has some really interesting plans going forward. They'll probably draw on this budget.
Yeah, the cemetery commission also was doing a big fencing project around one of the cemeteries. And there have been different changes of plans, but the project is still in process.
Okay, thank you. The Emergency Response Fund. This is another question into the auditors. This was set up to deal with Vermont Yankee, and we no longer need it. The question is, why is there a negative balance in there? And I've got to talk to the auditors about this because I don't understand. I think we should just close this fund out. And then HRAs, Penny was just talking to us about the health reimbursement account and then the Recreation Commission plan. So
So just going back to emergency, that's kind of a specific to Vermont, Yankee
it was
versus our
specific,
regular-
it was set up to deal with Vermont Yankee.
not our other emergency.
No, No, and so I actually, you'll see it's a 604 line.
That's about what I buy.
Yeah,
16. That's
Yeah.
why I don't understand.
I don't know. It's just been carried forward.
I don't know.
So I gotta figure, I'm gonna talk to the auditor tomorrow morning about this.
Okay.
So now you can,
Thank you.
Good work,
Thank you.
Sheila. Thank you. This is very, very helpful.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Thank you, Richard. Second,
Aye.
Michael. All right, I'll take a vote quickly. Veranda,
Aye.
Rusty,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Richard.
Aye.
Zahn says aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
Good work.
Great work.
Are we done?